There's a new energy surrounding the Indiana Fever, and it's not subtle. One of their latest additions looked straight into the camera and issued a warning: anyone thinking about taking liberties with Caitlin Clark should think twice. And judging by the team's off-season moves, that message wasn't just talk. During Clark's rookie year, something unusual stood out. She accounted for roughly 17% of all flagrant fouls called across the entire league. That's not a random stat you can shrug off. It suggests a clear pattern, one where a first-year guard was absorbing a disproportionate amount of excessive contact. Not a post player battling in the paint. Not a veteran known for physical play. A rookie perimeter player. To understand why that matters, it helps to define what a flagrant foul really is. These aren't just hard, competitive plays. Officials reserve that label for contact that goes beyond what's necessary, actions considered excessive or avoidable. So when one player racks up that larger share, it raises questions about intent and consistency across the league. Things didn't exactly calm down in her second season either. Injuries began to pile up, forcing Clark to miss stretches of games. And yet, there wasn't much visible response from the league, no strong public stance, no clear effort to address the physicality she faced. The narrative often leaned toward the idea that rookies need to earn their place, which, in practice, seemed to excuse the treatment. There were also moments that went beyond routine basketball contact. In one instance, an eye poke escalated into a larger confrontation, followed by a shove that had nothing to do with the flow of play. Those kinds of actions aren't about defense, they're about sending a message. Part of the intensity surrounding Clark comes from her impact. She quickly became one of the most watched players the league has ever seen, drawing attention far beyond the WNBA's usual audience. With that spotlight comes pressure, and for some opponents, that pressure appears to have turned physical. The Fever, for a while, didn't seem fully equipped to handle that dynamic. Their roster leaned heavily toward scoring, but lacked players who could step in when games got chippy. Over time, that gap became impossible to ignore. This off-season, they addressed it directly. Players like Sophie Cunningham bring more than just shooting ability, even though her efficiency from beyond the arc is impressive. She's built a reputation as someone who won't hesitate to stand up for teammates. That kind of presence doesn't show up in stat sheets, but it changes how opponents behave. Add in others like DeWanna Borner and Natasha Howard, and suddenly Indiana looks different. There's a layer of toughness and accountability that wasn't as visible before. It's the kind of roster balance teams often need when they have a high-profile star, players who can both contribute on the court and make it clear that cheap shots won't go unanswered. The big question now is whether this shift will actually change how Clark is treated moving forward. With a stronger supporting cast and a more physical edge, the Fever seem determined to make sure she's not left to handle it alone. Physical play is nothing new for high-profile stars entering the league. Players like Candace Parker dealt with similar treatment early in their careers, and it's reasonable to expect Caitlin Clark will continue facing that same edge. The difference is how a team prepares for it, and how the player responds. By all accounts, Clark isn't one to back down. What makes Sophie Cunningham particularly intriguing in this equation goes beyond basketball. She earned a black belt in Taekwondo at just 6 years old and has continued training ever since. That background shapes the way she handles tense moments on the court. When things escalate, her reactions aren't just emotional, they're controlled, deliberate, and rooted in years of discipline. You could see that instinct kick in during the eye poke incident involving J.C. Sheldon. Before most players even processed what had happened, Cunningham was already stepping in, positioning herself between Clark and the chaos, making it immediately clear that there would be accountability for that kind of contact. Her approach shows up in other moments too. On a hard foul against Sheldon, Cunningham wrapped her up and brought her down to stop the play. It was physical, no doubt, but not reckless. There's a difference between sending a message and losing control, and she tends to stay on the right side of that line. The same pattern appeared after a collision involving Marina Mabrey. Cunningham didn't hesitate or wait for officials to step in. She responded instantly, assertive in her presence, vocal in her reaction, making sure it was understood that nothing goes unnoticed. While the rest of the Fever bench reacted, her immediacy stood out. That split-second difference is exactly what the organization recognized and prioritized when reshaping the roster. But her value isn't limited to toughness. Cunningham is a legitimate two-way contributor. She can defend across multiple positions, knock down perimeter shots, and thrive without needing constant touches. When Clark draws defensive pressure, Cunningham is the kind of player who makes opponents pay from the outside. Alongside Clark and Lexi Hull, the trio sometimes referred to as Trace Letches creates a spacing nightmare. All three can shoot well enough that defenders can't afford to sag off, opening up the floor in ways that make Indiana's offense far more dangerous. Bringing Cunningham back solidifies more than just depth, it reinforces identity. She adds shooting, defensive versatility, and a spark that can shift momentum in an instant, giving the Fever a more balanced and resilient backcourt heading into 2026. Injuries prevented Sophie Cunningham from showing her full value during her first season in Indiana. A pair of ankle issues in May disrupted her rhythm early, forcing her to play catch-up. But once she found her footing, the shift was noticeable. Over the course of several weeks, she emerged as one of the most dangerous perimeter shooters in the league. Her contract situation adds another layer to her 2026 campaign. Rather than securing the long-term deal she had openly hoped for, Cunningham signed a one-year agreement. That effectively turns every game into an audition, with her next contract tied directly to how she performs this season. When the Fever brought in Myisha Hines-Allen, much of the attention focused on her resume, her championship with the Washington Mystics in 2019 and her All-WNBA recognition. Those accolades matter, but Indiana's front office had a more practical goal in mind. They were addressing a glaring weakness, a front court that had been consistently overpowered for 2 straight seasons. Hines-Allen brings a completely different physical presence. At 6 feet 2 inches, she thrives in contact-heavy situations, battling for rebounds in traffic, defending bigger opponents without giving ground, and playing with an edge that complements Aliyah Boston. Boston is a strong interior player in her own right, but expecting her to shoulder that physical load every night against elite front courts wasn't sustainable. Hines-Allen helps balance that responsibility. Around the league, her reputation is well established. Teammates and opponents alike describe her as relentless, someone who doesn't shy away from physical play and, in many cases, dictates it. If you asked players to name someone they'd want backing them up in a tense moment, her name would come up often. What makes this pairing even more interesting is the history between Hines-Allen and Cunningham. They've clashed before, and not in a subtle way. In one heated exchange, neither player backed down, even as others kept their distance. It was the kind of moment that revealed just how competitive and unflinching both athletes are. Instead of seeing that as a red flag, Indiana saw an opportunity. Put 2 players with that kind of intensity on the same side, and their edge doesn't disappear, it gets redirected. Now, that same fire is aimed at supporting teammates, particularly Caitlin Clark, rather than going against each other. Hines-Allen's championship experience also carries weight beyond the trophy itself. That 2019 Mystics team wasn't just talented, it played with a physical identity, protecting the paint and forcing opponents to work for every scoring chance. Having been part of that environment, she understands what it takes to compete at that level. And that knowledge matters. There's a clear difference between teams that talk about toughness and those that consistently deliver it on the court. With players like Hines-Allen and Cunningham, Indiana is making a deliberate shift toward the latter, building a roster that doesn't just rely on skill, but also brings a level of resilience and presence that had been missing. When Myisha Hines-Allen gets a clean look near the basket, she doesn't waste it. Whether it's finishing through contact or capitalizing on a mismatch, she brings efficiency and purpose rather than flash. Her scoring numbers may not jump off the stat sheet, but that's by design. Her role isn't about volume, it's about impact. She thrives in the spaces created by players like Caitlin Clark and Kelsey Mitchell. When defenses collapse on drives, Hines-Allen is there to finish at the rim. Her screens aren't symbolic, they create real separation, freeing up shooters and ball handlers. Defensively, she holds her ground against opposing forwards without requiring extra help or adjustments from the coaching staff. That alone marks a significant shift from stretches in 2025, when Aliyah Boston was often left to anchor the front court by herself. During those periods, Indiana struggled to control the paint. Opponents routinely grabbed second-chance opportunities, penetrated the lane with ease, and dictated the physical tone of the game. Hines-Allen doesn't magically erase every size disadvantage the Fever might face against elite playoff teams, but she does bring resistance, something that had been missing. The paint is no longer an open invitation. There's now a presence that pushes back. Her motivation aligns perfectly with that role. She didn't come to Indiana just to contribute, she came with the goal of competing for another championship. And her style of play reflects that mindset: physical, disciplined, and team-oriented. She's the kind of player who adapts to whatever is needed, whether that means starting or providing energy off the bench. With her and Sophie Cunningham, the Fever already looked tougher and more prepared for the physical side of the game. But there was still one critical issue left to solve: depth at the guard position. Throughout much of 2025, Clark carried an enormous workload, often logging heavy minutes because there wasn't a reliable option to run the offense when she Saturday. That kind of strain adds up over a long season. Enter Tyasha Harris. Harris fills that gap with immediate familiarity. Having previously played under head coach Stephanie White, she already understands the system, the expectations, and how to operate alongside a ball-dominant star. Unlike many backup point guards who need months to adjust, Harris steps in ready to contribute from day one. Her presence brings a steadying influence, calm decision-making, reliable ball handling, and the ability to keep the offense organized when Clark is off the floor. And when she's playing off the ball, her shooting becomes an added weapon. Defenses can't ignore her, which is crucial on a team where Clark naturally draws so much attention. Open looks are inevitable in that system, and Harris is capable of making teams pay for giving her space. Altogether, these additions signal a more balanced and resilient Indiana roster, one that not only supports its star but also addresses the physical and structural gaps that previously held the team back. Tyasha Harris isn't just someone who fills minutes, she makes them count. When she's open, she converts. That alone separates her from backup guards who simply stand in place without forcing defenses to react. On the defensive end, she brings energy and intent, applying pressure on the ball and staying engaged rather than fading into the background. That said, her availability has been a concern at times. Injuries have interrupted her seasons before, and for a team with playoff ambitions, losing a key backup point guard for stretches isn't a minor issue, it's a real vulnerability. The Fever were fully aware of that risk when they brought her in. But there's another side to that equation. During 2025, Caitlin Clark carried an overwhelming share of the playmaking duties, logging heavy minutes night after night. That kind of workload isn't sustainable over a full season. Even trimming her time on the court by around 10 minutes per game could make a significant difference in her durability and effectiveness when the postseason arrives. There's also a personal element with Harris. As an Indiana native, she has a natural connection to the team and its fan base. Players with those roots often adapt more quickly, embracing the culture and expectations without needing a long adjustment period. Looking at the roster as a whole, the structure feels far more complete. Clark orchestrates the offense, while Kelsey Mitchell and Sophie Cunningham stretch the floor and contribute defensively. Lexi Hull adds consistency and defensive reliability on the wing. Inside, Aaliyah Boston and Myisha Hines-Allen bring a more physical presence, while Annalisa Smith, or similar frontcourt depth like Billings, contributes length and screening. Most importantly, Harris ensures the offense doesn't collapse when Clark sits, a problem that plagued the team in the past. Now, there's continuity, balance, and a noticeable edge across the lineup. Indiana isn't just more skilled, it's tougher, deeper, and better equipped to handle the physical demands of the league. That mindset was summed up clearly by Hines-Allen herself. After joining the team, she delivered a direct message: bullies beware. It didn't come off as hype or posturing, it sounded like a statement of purpose. And more importantly, it reflected exactly how the Fever had already chosen to build their roster, with players who won't hesitate to stand their ground. That kind of roster construction doesn't happen by accident. It's the result of recognizing a problem and addressing it head-on. In basketball, especially at the highest level, star players are rarely left unprotected. Teams with elite talent almost always surround those players with teammates who bring an edge, players willing to step in when games turn physical. That's exactly what the 2026 Indiana Fever have built. This isn't a group that's going to absorb contact and wait for officials to step in. Instead, they've added layers of protection and toughness around Caitlin Clark. On the wing, Sophie Cunningham combines shooting with a fearless, confrontational edge shaped by years of martial arts training. In the front court, Myisha Hines-Allen brings championship experience and a willingness to match physicality possession for possession, even against players she's clashed with before. And in the backcourt, Tyasha Harris provides stability and rest for Clark without sacrificing control of the offense. This wasn't about improving shooting percentages or tweaking rotations, it was about solving a very specific issue: durability and protection for their franchise player. Still, it's important to keep expectations grounded. Indiana enters 2026 as a contender, not the clear favorite. There are legitimate questions about whether their front court has enough size to consistently match up with the league's biggest, most physical teams in a playoff setting. And the path won't be easy. Powerhouses like the New York Liberty, Las Vegas Aces, and Chicago Sky aren't going anywhere, and postseason basketball has a way of exposing even small weaknesses. What has changed, though, is the team's ceiling. The 2024 and 2025 versions of Indiana ran into the same limitations. They weren't physical enough, and they didn't have the depth to sustain their style of play. This offseason directly addressed both. The roster now includes players with championship experience and a clear willingness to embrace the tougher side of the game. If everything aligns, if Clark stays healthy, if Harris successfully lightens her workload, if the front court holds its ground against elite competition, and if Cunningham continues to stretch defenses while standing her ground physically, then Indiana has a real chance to make a deep playoff run. Those aren't guarantees, but they're far more realistic now than they were a year ago. It also puts earlier moments into sharper context. The eye poke, the shove, the accumulation of flagrant fouls, those weren't isolated incidents. They were part of a pattern that the Fever ultimately decided they could no longer ignore. Hines Allen understood that reality before she even stepped on the court in an Indiana uniform, which is why her message, "Bullies beware," felt less like a soundbite and more like a mission statement. The difference now is simple. Indiana isn't waiting for the league to adjust. They've taken control of the situation themselves. By reshaping the roster with players who bring both skill and resilience, they've created a team that's far less likely to be pushed around.